Well, we are kicking off the festival season, and as all of you are well aware, this is a time when the property market also goes into overdrive. Developers give you a number of offers. Is this the right time to buy or sell property? Is this the right time to invest in property? If you are confused about what to buy or unsure about the right price to quote for your property, if you have any query related to buying or selling property, this is the right show and this is the right channel. Hello and welcome to Magicbricks Now. You are watching Property Hotline. I'm Kavita Krishnan. Today we are answering questions related to buying, selling and investing in property with Arvind Nandan. Arvind is the Director, South Asia, Value and Advisory Services at Colliers International. Arvind, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So let's get started with a question that's coming on our website. Arvind, Shreya writes in, says she wants to buy a property in Supertech Hilltown at Sona for end use. She wants to know what is the current market rate of this project. She also wants to know if this is a good investment at this point in time.
Well, Kavita, we've spoken about this location quite a few times, but just for the sake of Shreya's information, I would quickly cover it. So, it's a new township, first of all, and it's in Sector 2, Sona, Gurgaon. Well, it's actually a large one, it's 140 acres and positioned as a premium, in the premium segment, very close to Rajiv Chowk and adjacent to SPR and Golf Course Extension Road also. So, a good location. Well, it's under construction right now. You have to wait about 3 years before you will actually have the possession, maybe, give or take a few months. Prices, since you asked, are about 3,700 to 4,400 rupees a square foot. Keeping the location in mind, keeping the good band of pricing that's there, I think there's hardly any doubt. I feel it's a good investment. You should go ahead and make this investment for now at least. If you have a medium-term horizon, which is about 5 odd years or so, it could be a good investment to have.
Arvind, a lot of projects in this market are delayed, especially in the NCR, the Gurgaon belt. Now, like you said, this is 3 years in the making. So she will have to wait for some time. Are there ready position projects or positions that are projects that are nearing position in and around this particular project that she's chosen, which she should probably also look at before going ahead and making a decision?
Well, there are quite a few projects at different stages, by the way. Some are in early stages, some are close to completion, some are already done, which means second sales are also there. Now, one has to keep in mind that in this particular belt, particularly if you look at Gurgaon and south of Gurgaon, the market has gotten more or less saturated, include Dwarka Expressway as well, which has sort of started to show depression in terms of pricing. So the one stretch which is probably looking okay and probably is promising for future is the Sona stretch as of now. And I'll take it a little further south as well. So there are projects of all different types. In fact, we have quite a few that I think we will speak about going further into today's program. So there is Godrej's project, there are quite a few, there's Raheja's project. They're all at different stages. You could look at any of them. Depends on, what your primary objectives are. If you want to actually, get into a project in early stages, then probably this is something which is okay. If you want to get in something which will start generating yields very quick, then you have to look at a different project. Since we don't have Shreya live on the line right now, we can't know her clear objectives. But, if you have these objectives, you should evaluate accordingly.
One more thing before we move on. You did mention that there are a lot of properties where you are seeing secondary sales as well. How is the resale market in this particular area doing? Are you seeing a significant difference in prices, of secondary property in the secondary market as compared to the primary market? Will it be cheaper for someone like Shreya to buy a ready property in the secondary market?
I think that's a very good question, Kavita. Thanks for raising it. Secondary market, of course, is doing okay. I wouldn't say it's as great as it would have been, but it's still doing okay. Well, again, it depends on what pricing band you want to enter in, what capital appreciation you want to make in near future. So if you have a need to immediately start generating returns on your investment, then probably you're best placed to go for a secondary sales or a second sale.
No, but are the properties available cheaper as compared to what's available in the primary market?
I missed that part. No, I don't think that will be the proposition that you will get cheaper properties just because you've gone into a second sale. Well, a distress sale is something which we don't count when we look at the general possibilities. Entering early under construction stages always has its benefit of growing the capital. A finished product, even in a second sale, will come at a slightly premium.
Right. So
Slight
Shreya,
premium.
here are your options. Lot of projects in the market. The project that you picked obviously is a good project, like Arvind pointed out. However, it is in the early stage of construction, 3 years to possession. And looking at the delays in the NCR Gurgaon market, if you are not a huge risk taker, then you can probably also look at other projects which are nearing completion. There is a lot of inventory also available in the secondary market, which probably also you should have a look at before you sign on the dotted line. Email query coming in now. Satish says that he shortlisted L&T Raintree Boulevard at Hebel in Bengaluru. Now he wants to know if this is a safe investment, since he has heard that this project has encroached upon stormwater drains. Considering the backlash and what is happening in Bangalore, I don't think he should even get into a project that might have encroached on stormwater drains. What would you say, Arvind? How do you check something out like this?
Well, Kavita, this is one of those standout questions which I think will address many people. We may not have all the answers, but it's very important to cover this question. So first of all, a project which has any kind of a problem, in terms of its approvals or transgressing any of the policy matters, is not a good project. However, having said that, it's very important to remember that in Bangalore right now, there is a whole lot of projects. There are all the projects practically which are getting affected in some way or the other, and that's not primarily because the builders are out there to fleece people, which could be possible in some of the cases, but primarily also because the whole city, town planning plan, etc., is being now constantly revisited. In fact, general information says that about 50-60-year-old plans have now been sort of brought out, and the whole city is actually being mapped against that. What it's doing is that in many cases, many projects are actually finding themselves to be somewhere unknowingly even transgressing some of the provisions that have been there. Apart from that, there are some intentional ones which we don't speak of. When we speak of a good brand name like L&T Realty, in this particular case, Raintree, it's a very, very good brand name. I think the project is very good. Hebel is a great location, in fact. So the location is good, the branding is good. However, despite trying to make some checks, I have found that it's not yet possible to completely confirm whether this specific project really transgresses any of those things. My suggestion, therefore, to Mr. Satish would be that he should visit. I think you displayed it on your screens. You should try and visit the government website and see from there, because a very good thing that's been done by the government is that they have digitized everything and superimposed that on Google Maps. So you can very specifically locate the project and see if there is any transgression taking place. I know there have been complaints, but at the same time, there have been clear-cut denials.
In fact, a lot of people have actually been doing this to figure out whether or not their house is going to come under the BBMP Acts. So they're taking this 100-year-old map and they are superimposing it. They are superimposing Google Maps of Bengaluru as it is right now on that map and trying to figure out, and that apparently is working. So that is something that you can try. Alternatively, like Arvind said, there is a URL on your screen right now, landrecords.karnataka.gov.in/BhumiWeb. You can go online and check that out as well. Also, walk across to your ward office. Walk across to the ward office where you are planning to buy this particular property, whichever ward Hebel comes under, and go and ask them whether it is encroaching on stormwater drains. I'm sure somebody should be able to help you out over there. So these are things that you can do before you sign on the dotted line. Alternatively, use RTI. The government has to give you an answer if you send them an RTI application.
There is a small follow-up suggestion as well.
Right.
In case you find it difficult to conduct all this by yourself, try and reach out to a good architect who has the capability to read these things, and they'll definitely be able to do it for you.
Right. DK Sharma now has dialed in from New Delhi. How can we help you?
Yeah, I'm DK Sharma here.
Yes, Mr. Sharma.
I bought one and a half year before. One flat is Godrej Oasis, 88A. I'm myself an architect.
Okay.
Problem is that they are doing okay, but I'm feeling stuck up there. What should I do? Should I pay them more money? I have already paid them half of the money. Should I pay them further money, or should I block it now?
What is your concern, Mr. Sharma? Is it that the project is delayed or has work stopped on the project?
I just wanted to know how good the project is. Whether should I continue there for another 3 years? Because it's just to spend the money, I wanted to have a profit. That's all.
Okay, you just want to know how whether the project is good. Is a good investment, right?
Good. Should I continue with this or?
Okay. Arvind, do you think Godrej Oasis in Gurgaon is a good project? Should he continue with his investment over there?
Yeah, there are two answers to this, unfortunately, but I'll try and give clarity. So first of all, Mr. D.K. Sharma, you spoke of Godrej Oasis in Sector 88A, Gurgaon. Now, that particular micro location is quite, good. It has got all the things. However, there is a bit of congestion around there. Even to Gurgaon, during peak hours, you can take more than 2 hours sometimes. Also, the fact that, it's somehow more suitable for people in Manesar because it's actually closer there. And the way the project has been made, it's probably a little bit more suitable for people coming from north, which is from Gurgaon. So, although the suitability is for Manesar, the median pricing there would not match with this. So in that sense, there is a bit of, I would say, lack of synchronization with the demographics and the kind of product there is. However, having said this, the product by itself is a good product. Godrej, you can trust them to do good quality products. So your product is good. Probably the market is not right as on date immediately. So, from that standpoint, the two calls for you are, number one, if you are in a bit of hurry to see the project doing well and start generating a lot of returns, then I think it's not going to happen immediately. In which case, you could take a call of selling it away because you will find sellers in this market. Remember, renting is going to be slightly more difficult today. However, if you are a very long-term player, when we say very long-term player, we usually mean, beyond 7 or 8 years. If you want to stay put with that, then you can do that. But if you wanted it to start yielding returns, unfortunately, I don't see that happening immediately. So in that case, you're better off selling it away. But if you want to stick with it, then stick with it for 7, 8 years, and then probably it will...
Right. Sell if you're a short-term investor, hold if you're a long-term player in the market. Sangeeta has dialed in from Noida. How can we help you, Sangeeta?
Yeah, hi. I was I wanted your opinion on two particular projects which I was looking at. This is the Mahagun Maiwoods project and the Mahagun Mantra project. Now, I have a budget of around 40 to 50 lakhs for, particularly with an investment point of view in mind. Now, I've been offered a flat in Mahagun Maiwoods Phase 3 Part 2, which is, the projected possession is sometime in 2019. So I wanted your opinion on which of these projects would be a better investment proposal, and if there are any other projects which I might look into as well.
Sangeeta, how long are you willing to hold on to this project? You mentioned it is for investment. How soon do you want returns, and how long are you willing to hold on to it?
Possibly I would like to see my returns appearing sometime within maybe a 5-year span or something.
Okay, so you'll hold on at least for 5 years.
Yes, yes.
So she's looking at a 5-year horizon, and she's given you a choice of two projects here, Mahagun Mantra and Mahagun Maiwoods.
Yeah.
Which should she pick?
I must thank you for having done that job of mine because I wanted to ask that question. So, first of all, for her, for Sangeeta, look, to talk about Mahagun, you need to understand that Mahagun actually creates products in 3 different categories. One is called, as they call it, the affordable segment, then the mid segment, and finally the luxury segment. These projects, Mahagun themselves actually call them the affordable products, and they are selling very well in the market. Now, each of those, Mantra as well as Maiwoods, they have their own characteristics and specialities. If you look at Mantra, it's a product which is along Noida, Greater Noida Expressway, so the access is quite okay. It's a relatively mid-sized project, about 1,500 units or so. At the same time, Maiwoods is in a slightly different location, slightly further away, but it is a very, very large project, 6,500 units. The only thing is that Maiwoods, Phase 1, Phase 2 are actually getting delivered in a couple of months or 3 months from now. Phase 3 will also come up like you said. Mantra is going to take more than 12 months from here. So, if it is an investment that you want to make at a very early price, then probably I would say, go for Mantra. Although Mantra, as of now, has a slight delta premium over My Woods, but it might grow even more. My Woods is something which is ready, so it is something which you'll get immediately, and you can keep it for long term as well. So it's a very difficult toss up between the two. However, if you were to go just by my gut, where I always say if the project is ready, if it is moving towards completion, and you can be slightly early in the curve, I would go for Mantra. If you want to go for a very large development, very self-contained, integrated kind of a development, then Mahavoods is your call. So, I would like to choose Mantra. You could choose My Woods based on these considerations. You said, if there are other projects, well, that market is full of all kinds of projects that we've always spoken of. I'll just name a couple of them and a couple of other developers that you could look at. So you have Supertech Eco Village, which is not very far from Mantra. You're just across the Tech Zone 4, so you will actually find quite a few. You have Amrapali, you have Stellar's project, you have Gore City. So, even if you started looking at one of the websites, maybe Times Group's Magicbricks, you will find probably 3 dozen projects. So you could choose any of them depending on the pricing that you mentioned, 50, 60 lakhs or so. But try and choose something which is getting completed in a visible time frame.
Arvind, also, it's very interesting. She's chosen the same developer, but she's looking at Noida Extension and she's looking at Greater Noida. So there are two locations that are not very far apart, but they are two different locations, two different micro markets over here. Which is a better micro market from an investment point of view?
Well, it's not an easy question to answer, but I would always, in such difficult situations, I would go by that market which is more closely linked to a major infrastructure node or a major infrastructure spine. In this case, it could be Noida, Greater Noida Expressway. So I would like to be closer to that, because if the development happens, if the economic engine starts heating up, the first impact is on those infrastructure nodes or things that are closer to them. But overall, it's a monolithic. It's a very large market. You could have various other considerations. For example, if there is any other activity, economic activity in the vicinity, that could become better. So there are several considerations. If everything is equal, I would rather go by the main roads and the main axis.
So now you confuse her more, because you said that you would rather opt for Mahagun Mantra.
Yeah.
Which
and Mantra actually has
incidentally is in Noida Extension.
No, that doesn't matter. It has Noida and Greater Noida Expressway.
Is beside it.
Yeah. So, it's not far from there.
So that's the verdict there. From an infrastructure perspective, Mahagun Mantra scores. From a delivery perspective, also Mahagun Mantra scores, because you are liable to get delivery much faster over here. My Woods, for that matter, great project, great development, but it is 1 year away from delivery still.
Only the last phase that she's speaking.
The last phase, the phase that you're particularly talking about. So those are how both the projects stack up. Now, at the end of the day, that's a call that you need to take. But like Arvind said, his pick is Mahagun Mantra. Pradeep Sharma has called in from Gurgaon. How can we help you, Pradeep?
Yeah, hi. Pradeep Sharma this side. So I have booked one property in RG Luxury Homes in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the delivery was around in September 2015. So last 1 year there is no work on site and people had paid around 95% of the money. So I just want to know, do I need to hold on this project, or do I need to sell out and see some other location? Maybe in Noida or in Greater Noida.
Pradeep, this is the reason why we've precisely, and incidentally, all the questions that we've dealt with till now, from the beginning of the show, have been NCR questions. And we've constantly been telling people, opt for something that is nearing possession because of the delays in the market. What should Pradeep do now? Should he hold, or should he cut his losses and just exit?
Well, I can empathize with that situation. It's a no-win kind of a situation as of now, but there are different actions possible. So first of all, let me cover a little bit about what the property is, what prices have been. So the prices he's right, prices have been stagnant around 3,250, 3,300 rupees a square foot or so for a while. But remember, what you get seen as these prices is the base price. On top of this, I'm not speaking of this project, but in general also, there are things like Floor PLC, there are things like View PLC, which keep adding on, which are not visible, and that's where the reselling becomes a little difficult proposition. So It is now reported to be getting completed next year, but it's anybody's guess whether it will happen or it will get further delay. So really don't want to take you there. My suggestion to you is this: if you can find a buyer at whatever optimal price that you can get, then sell it away. However, my guess also is it may be very difficult to get a buyer at this point in time for this specific property that you have. The other action, which is also slightly twisted and difficult, is speak to the developer and try and surrender it back. If you can actually do that, it might take a bit of work and bit of effort to get them convinced to take it back, because in many cases they don't want to take it either because of lack of cash or various other reasons. But if you can persuade them, that would be probably a better option than trying to find a buyer in the market.
But Arvind, what is the track record of this particular developer, RG Luxury Homes? Like he said, a lot of people are stuck in this project. It's been 1 year, there's no work. So what is the delivery record of this particular developer?
Well, they don't have a very long history, Kavita, first of all. They've been around for about 6-7 years or so. They've had about 4 or 5 projects in the market. So there is, no long history to sort of evaluate or assess. However, there is nothing undue or unfavorable as well, or any bad record to say that, they've repeatedly done anything wrong. It is probably, the condition of the market and various other forces that have led them into this situation, like many others have been in that situation. However, from the buyer's or the owner's perspective, that is irrelevant. For him, what matters is his money is stuck, it's not growing, and in fact, the project is also not going ahead, which is, very different.
Pradeep, what you can do is this. First, try and speak to the developer himself. Find out what is the situation, what is the status of the project. If they do not respond to you, first you try talking to them, try writing to them. If they do not respond to you, send them a legal notice, try and find out what is going on. Chances are they might just, turn around and respond. A lot of developers do respond to legal notices.
Try and surrender
it back. If nothing else works, then approach them, tell them that you want to sell it back to them, or try and find if you have a buyer, then you're probably one of the lucky ones in the market. If you do have a buyer who's interested in taking the property off your hands, then just sell and exit.
And a final course of action, if you're really getting into that confrontation situation of a legal action or something, just a step before that is, you could reach out to the industry body, which I always, try and put forth in these programs. Try and reach out to the industry body like CredEye. You could tweet to them, you could write an email to them. Probably Kavita could help you with the email address or things like that.
We can definitely do that.
Yeah. And try and reach out to industry bodies, seek their help, and they are very active these days. So that's probably one line of action before you actually landed into a legal lawsuit.
And what you could also do is, before going there alone, you could probably, go approach the developer as a group. You might find that he's more open to speaking to you all as a group if all the buyers approach together rather than you going over there singly, right? Moving on, we have Mahesh Sharma, who's dialed in from Surat. Mahesh, how can we help you? What's your question?
Yeah, madam. First, I want to thank you and congratulate you for Magicbricks for starting this channel.
Thank you very much.
My question is, I have booked one 3 BHK flat with Ansal Highland Park, Sector 103, Gurgaon.
Okay.
I want to know whether this property is good and location is how is the location, and should I keep it or I should sell it?
Sector 103, is it a good location? Should he hold on to it or should he sell it?
Well, can I have a follow-up question?
Sure.
So, Mr. Sharma, why does that question arise of selling it? Is it from the point of view of having made your money, or what exactly is the intention there?
Yeah, please repeat. I could not.
Why do you want to sell it? If that question came to your mind, why did you want to think of selling it as of now?
I'm thinking because if I see that in next 3 years the prices does not rise.
Okay.
So should I buy a property and then buy some other properties after selling it, where the price can increase?
Okay. Fair enough. So, first of all, well, it's Gurgaon, but, you're practically just off the Dwarka Expressway. The prices today have actually slightly corrected there, and I think the evidence is there on Magicbricks as well. Today the prices are in the range of about 4,600 to 4,700 rupees a square foot. That might create a little bit of panic in the mind of investor. But I will say one thing. Although Dwarka Expressway is not really a market which is heating up anymore, which is not really growing in the short term at all, you have a product and you have a brand name which has practically hardly ever badly performed, or has never really gone bad. So that's a great track record to stand by. So Ansal Highland Park, I would say, if you have no great need for encashing, keep it. It's a property that is good to hold. It's a little while away, actually more than a little while away, I think 2 or 3 years from getting completed. In that time, it should perform well. I would actually like to think that about 10 to 15% appreciation will come your way, even if the markets are not going to do extraordinarily good. So from all that standpoint, I would think, this probably is not the best time for you to sell this particular property. Had it been a property which was of an unknown brand name or something which could have been, doubtful, I would have said maybe go ahead. But I would like to think, if there are no other compulsions, hold it. It's good to hold for now.
Right, Mahesh, and you've held it for 3 years now, and now that there is some movement on the Dwarka Expressway, we are hearing that the government is moving, has kind of begun land acquisitions. So probably work will start. The project that you're invested in is also nearing completion. It's probably not the right time to sell. You should probably just stay invested, wait for the project to be completed. You'll probably see a bump up in prices then. That's when you should probably cash out and make your money and get out of the project, right? That's it on today's episode of Property Hotline. Arvind Nandan, thank you very much for coming in. And if you have any questions related to real estate, do get in touch with us. IDs are flashing on your screens over there. We'll get the country's top experts to answer all your questions. You know how to get in touch with us. Like I said, IDs flashing on your screens. Write in, call in, tweet, or send an email. Thank you very much for tuning in. Keep watching Magicbricks Now.
You can watch live TV on our website mpnow.in. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/magicbricksnow. And don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at Magicbricks Now. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/magicbricksnow.